red-eyed zombie chickens of. In front of the palace in the kingdom of, there was a giant statue of Old Tom, champion chicken of the kingdom of. He had been champion rooster as long as anyone could remember. Old Tom was the envy of all the neighbors of the king of Nodelot, the duke of Boink, the prince of Stai, the mad vampire Count Vlad Doink in Castle Creek. They were all jealous of this magnificent rooster. One wall in the city held the trophies Old Tom had won, year after year. Best rooster, loudest crow, most eggs laid, but that was a mistake. Then, one year, Old Tom did not win, not first prize, not second, not even third. Oh dear, oh gosh, what to do? So Farmer Tongue sold Old Tom to the giant chicken nugget factory on top of the hill next to. People were upset, children cried, but Old Tom was no longer champion, and money was money, and chicken nuggets were delicious. The next day the van from the nugget factory came. Two brawny men got out, grabbed Old Tom and threw him in the back of the van. The van roared off, and there it should have ended, with Old Tom turned into chicken nuggets, and the townsfolk searching all the chicken farms for a new champion. But, of course, being champion chicken for so long had given Old Tom certain ideas beyond the ordinary feathery fowl. No one knows for certain what happened, but that night there was a violent thunderstorm. Lightning flashed and thunder crashed. The lights of the giant chicken nugget factory fizzed and sizzed and went out. There were screams. People were running all over. The following morning the king and all his knights investigated. There were mangled machinery and plenty of feathers, but no sign of Old Tom. Some said he had escaped. Others said he had been turned into chicken nuggets like any other chicken. One thing was certain. The people of stopped eating chicken nuggets. Slowly life returned to normal in. The giant statue still stood there, but people were less proud of it. Then, a year to the day they took Old Tom to the factory, an ill wind blew through. It quickly became a storm with thunder and lightning and wild winds. On Farmer Tongue's chicken farm there was a huge commotion in the henhouse. Then all went quiet. Farmer Tongue, with his nightshirt tucked into his gumboots, went to investigate. A strange red glow shone through the windows of the henhouse. He opened the door. There were thousands of little red lights glowing in the dark. They were eyes. Old Tom had come back and turned all the chickens into red-eyed zombie chickens. With a strange and frightening jerky walk, all the chickens marched towards Farmer Tongue, their sharp little beaks stabbing in and out in unison. Old Tom marched in front. He was no longer the loving, proud rooster of yesteryear. He had mutated into a horrid zombie with giant claws and hollow, glowing eyes. Farmer Tongue jumped in the air and cried, "Oh my!" and "Oh dear!" and "Help!" He turned and ran, and all the red-eyed chickens marched behind him. Then Farmer Tongue had an idea. The chickens were many, and they looked very scary, but they were very small, after all. He ran to his giant tractor with its huge wheels. He started the enormous engine with a roar and drove towards the marching chickens. He would show them. He would crush them into the ground. All of them, and Old Tom too. But the zombie chickens were many, and they had very sharp beaks. The beaks went stab, 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 and all four of the tractor's enormous tires went flat. Farmer Tongue shouted, "Eek!" and jumped out of the ruined tractor and tried to run away. However, his nightshirt pulled out of his gumboots and he tripped and fell. Nearer and nearer came the zombie chickens with their stabbing beaks. Farmer Tongue screamed. This was the end. But the zombie chickens just marched over him with their scritchy feet. They marched into the town of. They marched into the town square and around the giant statue of Old Tom. 3 times they did that. Then they marched out the other side, down the road to the Robber's Moor, the dank and dark swamp next to the town. The chickens disappeared into the swamp, and the robbers ran out the other side. And that was the end of it, or so they thought. For a year later, to the day, from the misty depths of the swamp, red eyes glowed, stabbing sharp beaks came closer. Led by Old Tom, the zombie chickens marched up the road to the town, to the square, 3 times round it, and back to the swamp. This happened every year, which is why each year, just before Old Tom Day, the people of all do the same things. They carefully lock their doors with giant padlocks. They nail rude signs to the locked doors. They load their children into their caravans. Then they quickly go on holiday. Far, far away. The end. Red-eyed zombie chickens of and rooi-oog zombie hoenders van available as ebooks at Amazon, iTunes and other leading ebook sellers.